Hey everybody, Alex here, Out of the Park 23, Pittsburgh Pirates franchise, episode number 16, and we are just wrapping up the 2027 trade deadline. And for the first time in really basically the entirety of this series, the Pittsburgh Pirates may once be competitive. Now it is the end of July, and there's still a couple months of baseball to go, and so we'll see how things turn out. But Pittsburgh 63 and 50, currently second place in the Central, only trailing the Cardinals and 2.5 games up on the first wild card spots. We'll take a quick look at the standings here. Unfortunately, Pirates have lost 2 games here, so not a great note to be on as we basically exit the trade deadline, but overall can't complain about where this team is at, ahead of the Braves, the Padres, even the Cubs, who were in second place for quite some time and have been slumping lately. So let's talk about what's leading to the Pirates' success. Although this Pirates offense is not, run heavy and scoring a ton overall, that's never been their nature. It's been I think a strong and steady offense with a good average overall. Brian Reynolds continues to lead the way, maybe not with quite as good of a season as what he had last year, but still doing well and being his consistent, strong self. I believe he made an All-Star game this year. Yeah, I did make the All-Star game this year, so I do want to make sure I'm pointing out those things because I tend to forget sometimes. Brian Hayes also making his first All-Star appearance, so that was great to see. He's having a fantastic 3-WAR season, 116 WRC plus, and batting nearly 300. That's a career high for him, so really good to see Hayes work it with the glove like he always does, but the bat as well. RJ Schreck, I believe he missed some time with an injury. That was back in May, missed a couple of weeks, but he's healthy now, and it's been a decent source of power for us. Gavin Sheets has settled in nicely as a DH, bit of first base work as well. Still looking for that big power on this team. Delphin Ramirez has really provided that. He missed about 5 weeks with an injury. That was a strained PCL back in June. He just came back and is only in his third game with the big league club after doing a rehab assignment with 16 home runs this season. So he has been the guy providing the cannonball coming for Greg Brown and for this Pirates team. Nick Gonzalez bouncing back. Defense is not great. It's pretty poor, so I try to make him a DH as much as possible, but he still played a fair amount of second base because our starter, Horbit Vivas, really struggled. He's down in the minors right now, but Gonzalez has done well with the bat to justify the so-so and really below-average defense. Edwin Arroyo Jr. has been really strong both with the bat and, of course, with the gloves. So what a great surprise. He's been just 23 years old. Stephen Kwan is not nearly where he was last year, in the stratosphere last year in terms of what he did. Cooled off the end of last year. That kind of carried over to this year, but overall, still have a lot of confidence in him as a leadoff man, getting on base 1/3 of the time. And Cam Gallagher, let me click the right name here. Cam Gallagher has taken over the starting catching gig, replacing Elias Diaz, who has really been poor, but a good captain, good leader. So he's currently, for now, at least the backup. We'll talk about that more in a second. But Gallagher, in a land of catchers that typically don't do well, and you find one with a 91 WRC plus, 254 average, and just decent stats across the board, on pace for a 2.5 WAR season. You hold on to that guy, so he has done well. In terms of the pitching, we have our 2 anchors at the top. You guys know Christopher Cruz, again, having another fantastic season. Watched him on opening day have that really strong showing, and that is more or less continued throughout. I've limited his pitch count some, so he's not gone deep into a lot of games. I'm still pretty tentative and conservative when it comes to just the 24-year-old Christopher Cruz, but he's been fantastic. Also called up Dylan Lesko. That came back. Let's find the exact date that he came up into the majors. That was... looks like around June 22nd was his debut. Went 4 2/3, did not allow a run, just 4 hits, no walks, and struck out 6 in a 2-0 win. Although Lesko did not get the victory that day, he has been really good for us, a first-round pick just back in 2025, so came up really quickly. He was just crushing it down in AA, 1.85 ERA and 13 starts this year. So bypass AAA, don't need that. Come to the majors. Once we got past Super 2, at least believe we got past Super 2, we'll find out, I guess, at a later date, that deadline. Then he came up to the majors, so a very small market move there. But after paying Cruz all that money, I needed to kind of do some service time manipulation there. Luis Oviedo's been really strong as well, 132 ERA plus. So, again, those are trying to be the top 3 guys in our system right now. Alec Marsh will try to be a solid number 4, number 5 type. He had missed some time with an injury as well. Not much, but he had a elongated rehab assignment trying to make this roster work. We'll see a new name on this list here in Davis Martin, so we'll talk about some of the trades we made. We were a buyer at the deadline, did not make any serious moves. I wanted to get another catcher in there potentially to compete, to have some options, some depth, and then last second I decided to trade for a starting pitcher. That was this guy, Davis Martin from the Oakland Athletics. He just made his Pirates debut. It was not a good one. 3 2/3, 8 hits, 4 earned, a walk, and 3 Ks, and an 8-2 loss that we just suffered there to the Reds. Allowed 14 hits in that game. So hopefully things get better. Gave up a decent thing, and you see here Davis Martin back in 2023 was traded to Oakland from Chicago for Tony Kemp, who's now a Pittsburgh Pirate. We signed back in May as a minor league free agent to give ourselves some middle infield depth there. So it all kind of comes full circle for Tony Kemp, Davis Martin. But for us, giving up a pitcher, that was our, I think it was like our number 18 prospect in the system, so maybe overpaid a bit, but Martin was still under team control, so there's some future value with him. And this guy, Peyton Gubler, I should say, was our, what pick was he? Round 16 pick. I mean, there's some interesting traits here with the stuff and the fastball and the changeup. When you're extreme fly ball with really low movement, I think he could become a reliever someday, but just somebody that I figured I would, was expendable to get a guy like Davis Martin and try to make that playoff push. And so a bit of an overpay probably, but that feels realistic in terms of just being a buyer at the trade deadline. The Oakland Athletics are not good this year, so it justified it to me. They sit at 52 and 61. Bullpen has been strong for us overall, whether you're talking Wanderson Charles. Tyler Duffy did not get off to a great start for us, but let me click the right name again here and just check out his splits this season. He's definitely gotten better lately. Yeah, back in April, 5.73 ERA plus is 76 in the month of July. Now he's sitting at a 2.10 ERA plus, despite a really high BABIP of 4.62. So could even be better than that, given the unluckiness that he's gotten so far. So he'll be all right, and still going strong at age 36. Alberto Guerrero came off a serious injury. He seems to be okay. Tore his UCL about a year ago, so just coming back on that 1-year mark. But seems to be, the numbers don't look good, grant you that, but just in terms of the scouting report, seems to be unchanged. So we'll cross our fingers for that. Andrew Schultz made an all-star game this year, and he's been just throwing gas. I mean, 14.1 K over 9, a whip well under 1, ERA well under 2, 12 saves this season. So kudos to Andrew Schultz. And Nick Mears certainly could have made an all-star game this year, did not, but 153 ERA plus, and an ERA sitting at 2.85 for Schultz. That is a 2.38 ERA plus, so that's really impressive there. Victor Vodnik just continues to be a really steady presence for us. It's kind of a middle reliever type, so can't complain about him. Asa Lacy tried to do some starter stuff, did not work out well. Much better in the bullpen this year. If you look at his numbers here, 2 starts, which is a very small sample size, I'll grant you, but 14 ERA is out of the pen this year, 3.53 ERA, so much better there. Apologize, my voice probably sounds not great, getting over a little bit of a cold, so probably be some heavier edits, more than normal even in here. Trey McGow's been good for us, maybe been a bit rougher as of late, but still a really quality long relief guy. Racks up the wins, 10-3 record. I know that doesn't mean a lot for a pitcher, but still nice to have on a personal level. And Denny Bentley, who's much better against righties this year, but our lefty specialist, he's been really strong. Do want to briefly look at our 2027 draft class and the guys we took. Usually I go with the college type, the college bats, college arms, because I want guys who can contribute right away and are probably less of a projection. This year, they were really high school heavy. That was not intentional, just kind of the way things worked out. Our first round pick, 16th overall, so a bit lower pick than what we're used to. Mario Alfara, who's from Steel Valley, actually just in the Pittsburgh area. So local guy, very feel-good story, very Neil Walker-esque kind of selection here. So he was the pick there to be a potential third baseman of the future. I have our second round pick here, Melvin Diaz, another high school arm from Paul J. Haggerty High School. So we'll see what he can do. If those pitches can develop, we'll see what happens with him. Third round pick, Derek Drayton, again, another high school player, corner outfield, not great defense, but that bat can develop. We're talking probably right fielder / DH and maybe even first base, but looking at those numbers, probably not going to happen there. for Drayton, but like the bat overall. David Villarreal, a center fielder, but probably again more of a corner kind of guy, another high school player for us. He's now in our rookie ball league, and this guy we did not end up signing, just wanted too much money. Our draft budget was pretty tight this year given all the money we put into the player payroll. Brian Reynolds, we did not sign an international free agent this year, just did not have the money to do so. So Emmanuel Townsend goes back into the draft pool for a later date. This pitcher seems pretty interesting as well, so we'll keep an eye on his progress, and seems to be off to a pretty good start here in the Florida Complex League. Just to tie up loose ends here, the other trade we made, just two made around the trade deadline, right before the trade deadline. Showed you the one for the pitcher there, now showing you guys Joey Bart, who we traded for from San Francisco. He was mostly in their minor league system this year. The Giants have not been good. They're 55-60, so they were willing. I think he was on the trade block, in fact, Joey Bart was. So former big-name guy, I believe was a former first-round pick. First-round pick of the Giants back in 2018. Still like his profile, captain, good defensively, got some power, no clear deficiencies in his game. 12 games with the Giants this year, hit 350. The BABIP was extremely high, so getting a lot of luck on his side there. But my thought here is injury protection, obviously, and then if we make the playoffs, that's still a big if. We're a long ways away from that. I probably will swap out Diaz, who's really struggled at the plate this year. I'll pull up his numbers for Joey Bart on the postseason roster. I could, of course, do that now, and there's certainly a case to be made for that, but the team chemistry is good. Diaz is a captain. I know Bart is as well, but I just like the makeup of the team right now. You know, the makeup for Diaz is not looking good. Negative WAR player, 171 overall. He's been really brutal this year for us, but for now, I'm going to keep things the same because I look at this team chemistry. It is maxed out, and I really don't want to do a lot to mess with that. Don't want these videos to drag on for too long, but I do want to mention a couple guys in our system right now. Nick Dial, hopefully the future replacement for Brian Reynolds, probably for next year. He has been just amazing in the minors, hitting 400 in AAA, and not a lot of action, but still enough. It's not 5 games, it's almost 30 games, so that's promising. James Wood has looked decent. I want to try to make him work. Kind of a logjam at first base right now. He's come up and played for us a little bit and had some really high moments. Tatsuya Nageshi, former first-round pick, came up with us for a little bit and actually did all right. Kind of slumped at the end, but there's something there with him, so we're not giving up on him there. Same with Brock Wilkin, who we acquired in that Carter Binns trade a while back. And then even a former, not a former first-round pick for us, but once a really highly touted prospect who had injuries and really struggled, Carmen Mazinski, I think I'm saying that incorrectly. But, he kind of he bounced back, had a good year last year in AAA and started off this year pretty hot, and he came up and pitched 12 games for us so far this year. And I think he had 1 or 2 bad starts that skewed the numbers slightly, but overall I'm actually kind of happy with him. He stayed healthy, knock on wood, so we'll see what he can do as some depth and a guy trying to stay in the fight in terms of his major league career. So that's where things stand right now. Pirates trying to battle until the end. We'll see what happens. Trying to catch the Cardinals. Probably won't happen. They got off to just an incredibly hot start this year. And so they've literally been in first place basically the entire season. Yeah, they were 21-5 in April. They were 5-1 in March. So that's 26-6 to begin the first month and week of the season. They've cooled off since. They're not having a very good July right now. So we'll see who can catch them. But just trying to make the playoffs for the first time. It just has not happened. We've struggled as much as I've ever struggled trying to run a Pirates team out of the park. We took over in 2022, won 82 games last year, so it felt like progress was coming, but you're trying to be a whole lot better this year. So we'll see what happens. We'll come back either during a stretch run. Maybe there's some really important games for us to play and to talk about, or we'll come back at the end of the season and kind of see where things finished up. So we'll let you guys know. We'll keep fighting and see what the Pirates can do. So thank you guys for watching. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, what your projection for this team is. Can they finally make a run? Just want to get into a playoff game, just have that experience. It'll be a lot of fun. I think it's been a long time coming, that's for sure. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Appreciate you guys watching, and we'll talk to you soon.